this video, I survived some of Minecraft's earliest versions, starting on Infdev all the way to Alpha. Without further ado, let's enter day 1. On day 1, I spawned in near a beach and collected wood. I then made my tools and started constructing a non-permanent shack that I would be staying in for the night. A pretty standard start to anyone's Minecraft world. I then stayed in the shack for the rest of the night, since beds weren't in this version and I had nothing else to do. Eventually, on the dawn of day 2, I broke out of my shack and made a door for it. I then tried to go mining before realizing it was too dark and I didn't have any torches. So I looked around the world looking for a cave and eventually found one right outside my house. So I went in and immediately found coal. I obviously went straight to making torches and I lit up the area. Because of this, I found some iron that I would have otherwise missed. I kept spelunking, finding more iron and coal. Another day had passed while I was down there and it was now day 3. I eventually decided to call it quits and came back up to the surface. I enter my shack and make some iron tools. I also crafted some of my wool into leather armor, because weirdly enough you can do that in this version. I then spent the rest of the day upgrading my house, moving the log pillars out 1 block, and adding a cobblestone base. Once I was finished doing that, I redecorated the interior, making it feel a lot more welcoming, instead of the bland wood walls it was before. I also got some seeds so I could make a wheat farm for bread. I then spent the night waiting again, since I had no food, and if I had an encounter with a mob in the mines, there would be no way to heal. On day 4, I started the farm next to the small lake I was living by, and collected more seeds for it. When I had finished the farm, I found some living wool around my house, of which I mercilessly murdered. I then continued upgrading the now permanent shack, adding a wooden trim around the top of it. I smelted some sand to make windows and added them. I then decided to make a second floor, starting out with a cobblestone base, before I ran out. I then did the same thing as day 1 and 3, and waited the rest of the night watching the moon through the windows. On day 5, I set up on a quest for pigs, exploring my world trying to find one. Eventually I found mushrooms, which I used to make some mushroom soup, which is one of the only other food sources in the game in this version besides pork. After a while of not seeing any, I decided to call it quits and return home. Once I did, I found some right at my house. Again, just like the cave. Anyways, after killing them, I went inside to cook the pork chops and make more mushroom soup. I then spent most of the night working on the second floor, adding more wood pillars and more cobblestone trim. I also added logwood I had left on top of the trim, mimicking the first floor. I then did what I do best and waited for the rest of the night. Now, before we move on to day 6, I just want to explain the rules of this challenge. We will be surviving 100 days in this world, staying on Infdev for 25 days before updating to Alpha and updating every 5 or 10 days. If I ever make an episode 2, we will continue updating from Alpha, if we don't end up getting to the final version in this episode, and start updating into beta. Anyways, let's get back to day 6. On day 6, I harvested my small farm yielding 2 pieces of wheat. After this, I decided to start a chunk mine on the beach, because I was bored and needed resources. I chipped away at the first and second layer before spotting something amazing, almost as if the game was rewarding me for yesterday's struggles. A whole pork and wool oasis was just sitting there. I immediately went over to it and killed all of them, gaining me many pieces of pork and wool. I then went into my house and cooked all of it. Once it was done smelting, I had a small party, bathing in my precious goods, before spotting a zombie outside. Filled with confidence from the sweet salvation of the food, I went over to slay it, before realizing I am shit at the game, and almost immediately nearly died. This was not only due to my skill, but also because I didn't realize my sword was nearly about to break, but also because I didn't realize my armor was also about to break. So I went inside and crafted new armor. After decking myself in leather, I went upstairs and added more windows to the walls. After this, I waited for the next day again. On day 7 and 8, all I did was continue the chunk mine, so there is not much point explaining all the things that happened, but I did find some iron sometimes, so that was cool. I'm just gonna leave you with this time lapse I guess, so enjoy. At the end of day 8, I decided to work on the second floor of the house, and I waited for the daytime again. Days 9 to 10 were spent in the mines. The main goal was to look for diamonds, but iron and coal would suffice too. After about 20 minutes of searching, I ended up leaving with no diamonds, only coal and iron. Also strangely enough, no mobs ended up spawning on me the entire duration. The only mobs I have seen in this whole challenge is that zombie at day 6, and a spider that got cut out of the recording. For the rest of day 10, I started a foundation for a project I decided to start working on. After I ran out of cobblestone, I decided to get more until it got dark, when I decided to work on the interior some more. The outside felt bland, so I added some more windows and expanded the already existing ones. This made the first floor look a lot nicer. After this I added more wood to the second floor's roof, and after running out, I decided to work on the chunk mine. This didn't last long, as all my pickaxes broke. Day 11 started out with a jump scare, as supposedly nothing attacked me. That was until a skeleton walked out of the shadows. I killed the skeleton, using up one of my pork chops to heal. I then went to chop some trees down to finish the roof. I decided to work on the wall for the foundation, before I finished the roof, adding the cobblestone that I had grabbed from the chest the day before. After running out of cobblestone again, I expanded the second floor's windows and went to grab more cobblestone. On the way to the foundation, I added some light posts to the lid behind my house. I then arrived at the foundation, and nearly died to a zombie. After healing, I added some stone slabs as a trim for foundation, before spotting a whole horde of spiders. After this, I decided to run away like a baby and hide in my house for the rest of the night. Day 12 was fucking awesome. First of all, I managed to get sound and skins working. Second of all, I updated the game to a later version of Infdev, meaning we now have live-able minecarts, dungeons, and stairs. After staring at my cool new skin, I worked on the foundation. When I ran out of cobblestone, I went to grab more before spawning some pigs. I went to kill them, and then I spotted more. And then I spotted more. And even more. This was incredible, especially after the drought on day 5. I went inside to cook all the meat, before realizing that I had enough string to craft a bow. After forgetting how to craft a bow twice, I finally crafted it and went outside to test my new weapon. And the sight I saw before me was incredible. More pigs, even after I cooked them. Lord Notch has graced me with the most delightful reward for seemingly nothing. Safe to say I murdered them all and cooked them. After all of this, I waited the night in my house again. Day 13 was also quite awesome. I went over to work on the foundation before spotting another large group of pigs. After I killed them, I cooked the meat and made a new iron sword, since my last one broke, and while I was at it, a new set of armor. I think updating the game had wiped the armor I had on previously, but it doesn't matter, since it was nearly broken anyways. After I had done this, I grabbed more cobblestone and headed to work on the foundation. Again, I found more pigs near it, and after I had dealt with them I finally worked on it. After I ran out of cobblestone, I added some more slabs, before I went inside to cook more of the meat. After I was done, the rest of the night was spent mining in the chunk mine. There wasn't much that happened besides a spider that scared the living shit out of me. The same could be said for the first half of day 4, I spent more time mining it out, until I decided to take a break from it. I then went over to the foundation again, until I found more pigs. I then spent the next 5 minutes running back and forth to my house to carry the pork to my house. After I was done, I completed the walls of the foundation and found more pigs. I decided to go check on my farm, while the pork was smelting, and saw a group of pigs trampling it. Enraged, I ran over with my iron sword and killed all of them. This shifted something inside of me. I decided I needed to kill as many pigs as possible starting day 15. This meant war. After I killed them all, I cooked their pork chops and I now had a full double chest full of pork. Day 15, the day of reckoning. These pigs are going to pay. I slaughtered every single one of them I saw throughout the day. There isn't much to say besides the fact I started working on the floor of the foundation, but anyways, here is a montage of all the pigs I killed. Oh, I ran out of footage. Welp, I think it's time for my mass homicide to end for now. Day 16 was spent mining. Before I entered the cave, I crafted some pickaxes and a sword. I also decided to ditch the leather armor and use iron armor instead. Once I felt safe enough to go in, I entered and caved deeper. I then dug forward until I decided to take a break, since I wasn't feeling good. So I returned to the surface and spotted a group of pigs. I killed all of them and went inside to sort out my inventory and smelt the ores and cobblestone I had collected. After this, I collected the pork chops and smelted them all. For the rest of day 17, I worked on the foundation's flooring, and then I worked on the chunk mine. Nothing really happened besides my first creeper sighting. Day 18 was entirely spent adding a roof to my house. I ran out of cobblestone before I could finish it, so for now it looks a bit whack. When I ran out, I just waited inside for the night to pass again. Days 19 to 20 weren't really spent doing anything. I was in a call with my friends, so I sort of just mined in the chunk mine and walked around. Okay, I have decided to make this in parts. Since I have been really busy and already have worked on this video for over a month, and I just want to get this video out. So in part 2 we will probably get to 50 days or so. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.
Super Mario in real life.
Spaghetti!